Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I want to tell y'all a little bit about two dreams that I had over the weekend. And as I thought more about them, I was like, yo, I gotta share this with them. So let me start off by saying, y'all, I was so tired. All right, so Friday I got home. My mother and I sat down and talked about some things that I'm working on. We talked until like midnight. Then after that, I did some other little things before I ended up going to bed. So I went to bed after 12, maybe around 1 o'clock. I was back up around 3 or 4. You know how like when you're excited about something or when you're thinking about it a lot, you may lay down to go to sleep, but like you're sleeping, but you're still thinking about the things that you want to work on when you get up. That's where I was on Friday. So, you know, I took a little cat nap and then I was back up doing some research on some things, watching some motivational videos, that kind of thing. I ended up doing some homework, you know, just taking care of some things on the computer. Then I got dressed. I went to one of my part-time jobs. I came back home after that, washed my hair, went to my hair appointment at my cousin's house, left there, went to another cousin's house to do some recording, got home, did homework. Y'all, I was doing a paper and I swear to y'all, like it felt like I was thinking in slow motion. Like that's how tired I was. I got it done, but there were moments where I was like what's happening? Like, am I? So then that was what, Saturday night into Sunday morning. I got in bed Sunday like around 2 something. And that's where I had like these dreams. By the time I got into bed, y'all, I was delusional. Like, I lied to you not. I thought I was seeing stuff. Like, it was just a lie. I know me, and I had reached my capacity in terms of my lack of sleep. So, I remember having 2 dreams in particular that woke me up. And when I woke up from each of those, I took the time to just write them down, because the fact that I remembered, I always say, if you wake up and you remember a dream, write it down. No matter how insignificant it may seem at the time, I guarantee you, if you write it down, and it's like, there'll be a moment. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but there will be a moment in something that you experience where you recall that dream and it all makes sense. It'll all tie in together. I've had that happen more than once. So the first dream that I had, my mom and I were in the car. I was on the driver's side, she was in the passenger seat, and we were on a road that's like super familiar to us driving. It's like we were driving into the sunset, but the sunset was very intense. It was very red, and it had like some orange in it too. Never mind, I'm not gonna go into that. But the fact that it was like a red sunset, I was like, okay. So I remember driving and I started to panic. I was like, Mom, I'm about to pull over. Like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And what I was talking about was the fact that as we continued to drive towards the sunset, it was so bright that it felt like it was like engulfing me. Like, I couldn't see the road, and it was just overwhelming. And the significance in that is, like, I love nature. I think sunsets are so beautiful. The full moon is like one of my favorite things. But there are certain instances where I feel like, so like if I'm driving late at night and I'm like one of the only people on the road and the full moon is out and it's super bright and it's like right in front of me, I can't look at it. It feels a little too close for comfort. And that's exactly the feeling that I got in that dream. And I remember as I was panicking, my mom said something she said, I got it written in my phone, but because I'm trying to regurgitate it right now, of course, I'm getting the wording a bit off. She either said that my fear wasn't real or that I was scared for nothing. And then she said, because if you veer off the road right now, you will still run into the grass. And so I thought about that and I was like, if I veer off the road, I'll still run into the grass. Mind you, I said that in the dream, the sunset was so bright that I couldn't see my path. But as I thought about it, what that meant to me was this. A lot of times we get in situations, or let's say we want to take on, like I was talking about, taking on some new goals, some new dreams that I have. And while I talk about dreaming big, of course, when you dream big, you have to charter new territories, things that you may not be familiar with, things that may make you uncomfortable. In those moments, oftentimes when we get to those places or have to do those things that we're not as comfortable with or that we don't feel as knowledgeable in, we tend to back off. We tend to say, you know what? well, maybe I need to take some time and learn more about this, or, you know, maybe it's not time for me to do that yet because I don't know exactly the ins and outs of everything. But to me, the significance in that dream was, even in those moments of uncertainty, or those moments where you are charting new territories, there's always some place within, some place like in the physical sense, where we can take a step back and regroup. Like, even though it seems like we are surrounded by things that are not familiar at all, like things we don't know which way to go, we don't know what decisions to make, there's always a place where we can take a step back and gather ourselves. A place that is familiar, a place that reminds us of our strengths, a place that reminds us of our capabilities. And so that was really indicative of that to me in that dream. Another example of that I just thought about was like in my sorority. I don't care where I go in this world. I could go to Mount Everest, and somewhere nearby, I'm gonna run into a soror. I have been in places where, like, y'all know, I like to travel by myself. I have been in airports, I have been in convenience stores, I have been, like, everywhere that I go, there is a soror somewhere, wherever I'm at. And so I'm just reminded of that. Like I said, even when I'm faced with situations that I may have never faced before, there's always something in that situation that is a reminder of something that I have been through before, and I can draw from that, or I can, you know, use that as a piece of the puzzle to help me navigate through the rest of the situation. So then the second part of the dream, I was in the car again. Driver's seat, it was Kevin Gates. Passenger seat, it was another guy. I couldn't make out who he was. Myself, I was in the passenger seat behind this mystery guy. And then in the driver's seat, the back seat behind the driver was my cousin Kiki, which I haven't talked to her, seen her in a minute. So it was just weird that she was even in my dream. But in the dream, Kevin was talking, and he was talking about some of the things that he shared, like in public interviews and stuff, about the things that he's experienced in his childhood. And I remember as he was talking, he was getting kind of worked up, and I reached out and I put my hand on his shoulder and I said, Gates, it didn't happen to you, it happened through you. And he like stopped, and he was like, and what's that supposed to mean? I don't know what that means. And so I said it again. I said, it didn't happen to you, it happened through you. And then after I said that, I woke up, and that's when I wrote everything down. But as I was thinking about that, I was like, yo, it's not happening to you, it's happening through you. Like, really think about that. I say all the time, the things that we experience in life, we tend to internalize them so much when they are really given to us to define them, to give them purpose, so that we can then be teachers and help somebody else to elevate, help somebody else to master their demons, help somebody else to have the courage to, you know, take a few steps forward in their own situation. It's not happening to us, it's happening through us. The things that we experience, they happen so that we can then learn from them and grow from them and help the next person, pull the next person up. So many times in life, we get focus on self. Why is this happening to me? I'm a good person. I'm this, I'm that. This shouldn't be. Why not you? Why not you? If we would only take the time to take a step back and really acknowledge what we're saying sometimes. To take it a step further. When you go to a basketball game, I don't care what team you're going for. I don't care how experienced the players are. I don't care how much money you pay for your ticket. I don't care how much money you pay for. Like, at the end of the day, one team is going to win, one team is going to lose. We want to believe like we have all these statistics, and based on, you know, the players' capabilities and this and that and da-da-da, we want to believe that based on all of those things, we can somehow predict who the winner or what the outcome is going to be. You can pray. We can all pray to the same God. But at the end of the night, one team is going to walk away as the winner. One team is going to walk away as a loser. But in both of those situations, there were still vital lessons that both of them had to learn. For the winning team, yeah, we won tonight. But what we're going to do differently when we got to play our next opponent? If we went out there and tried to play the same game in the same way that we played tonight, we're going to lose. Still have to take our wins as opportunities to improve and to build on the things that made the skills and the understanding that we had in that moment work for us, so that we can be even better or more prepared for the next situation. Like I always say, one of my greatest joys in life is when I get DMs or text messages from women, or when certain people see me in public and they stop me and say, hey, I've been meaning to reach out to you, like, let's chop it up about my situation, and can you just share with me some things that help you? Like, that is one of my greatest joys, because every time that happens, I'm reminded of the progress that I made. And I tell y'all all the time, like, that is not a situation I ever thought that I would be able to help somebody else through. But it was one of those things, because I felt like that, I had to defeat it. I had to be the person to live to tell a story. It wouldn't make sense any other way. God oftentimes uses what we feel to be our greatest weakness as our greatest strength. And that's often the thing that he also uses as the biggest part of our story. So everything that we experience in life is happening to prepare us and to cultivate us, to mold us, so that we can then pull up somebody that's coming behind us that's going to be experiencing something similar to what we have. The area in which I see this the most is like relationships. I'll be completely transparent with y'all. I've been talking for the last couple months about a new guy. And just recently, we realized that our lifestyles just cannot merge right now. There's no possible way for our lifestyles to merge. And that is okay. That does not take away from experiences we share. It doesn't take away from what I've learned from him, the things that I know I've taught him. It doesn't take away from the laughs that, like, when I say we used to freaking laugh, laugh to the point where you really got to contain your laughter, because first of all, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Both of y'all know y'all got to get up and go to work, but you on the phone laughing like loud as hell and other people sleep, kind of thing. And yeah, I had a moment where I felt like, damn, I'm up here hyping this dude up, and now we not like talking like that anymore, and da-da-da. But then I had to stop myself, like, that's ego. But what it's really about is me now being able to say, in my growth and maturity, yeah, we didn't work out the way that we anticipated, but that still don't take away from the experience. And what's helped me is learning, like, not to make those situations, like when situations don't work out the way that we want them to, we tend to make those like the center of our life. We tend to look at those experiences as like the sum total of our lives, instead of looking at those experiences like as a chapter in our lives. Relationships are never supposed to be our life. It's supposed to teach us what it is that it's supposed to teach us in that moment, and when we move on, it still exists as what it was. Like, oftentimes when things end, we go back and we say, oh, well, that means that they really ain't da-da-da-da-da, and this wasn't real. Yo, we grow and we evolve every single day, and that is something I would never say about that situation. That moment in time that we were meant to experience each other, that it didn't mean anything. Like, it meant so much. And I am so glad that I had that experience. It's an experience I'll never forget. And I learned so much about myself, about men, about life, about finance, just so much. But I can easily forget those things or take for granted those lessons if I focus on the fact that it didn't end up being what we expected it to. Like, think about that. Think about how many situations in life, like when we get to the point where we train ourselves to like dislike somebody or to have a disdain or disregard for a situation, oftentimes we forget the lessons that those situations were supposed to teach us, because we assume that because things didn't work out the way that we wanted them to, that means that there was no purpose in it whatsoever, and that's not the truth. That's my dog. That'll always be my dog. But what if I was so caught up in how I felt like this situation was supposed to play out, and the fact that I had like mentioned bits and pieces of it, and you know, the things that I've learned and that kind of thing, to the point where I was too embarrassed or afraid to come back and say, y'all, I'm back to the drawing board. And that would be giving y'all a false sense of like my reality. And I say it all the time, like, this is like part of my purpose. This is a part of my purpose, showing y'all the peaks and valleys and like figuring it all out. It's not like everybody has a story. Everybody is getting up every day like trying to figure this thing out. If anybody tell you their life is perfect, that's probably not somebody that you want to listen to anyway. Like, it's nothing to be ashamed of. We get it wrong. I'm not gonna say we get it wrong, because again, in that moment, that was everything that it was everything that it was supposed to be. So again, it's not happening to us, it's happening through us. There's so many people out here that are hurting, and they are hurting because we are being selfish with our stories. And look, I told y'all, when I was going through it, YouTube, how to get over a breakup, YouTube, like, but what if nobody carried the torch? Like, what if everybody said, nope, I'm not gonna be the one to tell my story. I don't want people in my business. Oh no, like, I'm not gonna be looking crazy. Like, what if everybody said that? Think about how many books we wouldn't have. Think about the book that helped you the most in your life. What if that author was selfish with their story? And even if, let's say, it's a fictional book, that author still had to be vulnerable enough to share their thoughts and to not be worried about whether people thought that, oh, why in the world are they thinking about something like this, or how they come up with that? Like, what if everybody had those hesitations and reservations, and because of that, because they were worried about what the next person thought, they didn't share their creativity, their stories? Think about where you work. What if the CEO of your company, well, if they started a company, what if they weren't confident enough in what they wanted to create to start? Yeah, they may have went into it, with the goal of it being profitable and making money, but at the core of it, they wanted to contribute to society in a certain way. So the vision that God had for whatever business it is that you work in, it was birthed through that person. But again, what if they just sat on it? I've heard it over and over in motivational speeches: the graveyard is the wealthiest place on earth. And that's because so many people died without giving birth to what it is that was supposed to be birthed through them. That business, that book, that podcast, that clothing line, those hair products, that perfume line, that cosmetic line, that mentorship program. So many people die with those things still within them. And your story may be the story that saves somebody else's life. You just never know. You never know, because I'm telling y'all, it was moments in my life where, look, somebody got to tell me something, and somebody got to tell me something quick, because I don't know how I'm gonna do this. So then those are the things that motivated me to be more comfortable telling my story, because I never want to think of a woman or anybody being in a place where all they need is a word from somebody. They need a word to get them through the night. They need a word to get them through the day. But because Chantrice thinks so much of herself, and because she don't want people in her business, or she don't really want people to know she got emotions and feelings, I don't tell my story, and that leaves one more person suffering. When you tell your story, you're going to reach certain people that we could both tell the same story, but it's going to be something about the way you tell your story, or something that person is going to be able to hold on to as it relates to themselves, because they see themselves in you. So it's not happening to you, it's happening through you. And I know, we all arrive at different times. That's not to say that if you are in the middle of a situation that you got to jump up and share your story now on a platform like this, but it could be something as simple as passing somebody on the street and saying a kind word to them, even though you don't feel the best emotionally yourself. I never forget, I was working at a university. It was like the hospital part of a university. And I was having a day, dog. I was having a day. Everything, with everything that was going on, I just wasn't feeling it. But I didn't know that it was so apparent or so obvious. And I was walking, and this guy, and I promise y'all, he won't trying to flirt with me or anything. And he was sitting on the bench outside, and I was walking past him. He was like, "Smile, it's gonna get better." And it was just in that moment, I was like, thank you. I needed that. It's just small stuff like that. God got his angels planted all over this earth, and we encounter them when we least expect them. So just make sure when it's your turn to play the role of an angel in somebody else's life, that you don't pass that up because of your own selfishness and, you know, worried about how you appear to other people, or, you know, what people gonna think about you if you tell the truth about your situation. Listen, the people that's gonna judge you, they're gonna judge that whether they know the truth or whether they want to believe what it is they think is the truth. Those are not the people that you're trying to talk to. Those are the people that haven't even started their own work. But the people that you are meant to reach, when you open your mouth and you start talking, they're gonna listen and they're gonna receive what it is that you're saying without any judgment. And they're gonna have an appreciation for the fact that you are carrying a torch. So just think about that. The 2 points that I made today: 1, there's always a safe space. When you're venturing out, there's always a place that, you know, you can fall back on and gather yourself and remind yourself of who you are and what your strengths are. 2, the things that we experience in life are happening through us and not to us. Yeah, we may have to bear the burden. We may have to be the person to navigate through it and, you know, to find the way out of the corn maze. But just know, when you go back to the starting point, after you found out how to navigate through it, when you go back to the starting point to meet the next person that has the walkthrough, you'll be able to help them avoid some of the mistakes that you made because you cleared the path with new knowledge and understanding. And that's what life is about. So even in those situations where things don't work out, knowing that, you know, you gave them life lessons that I don't care where they go in the world, they're gonna always remember, and vice versa. Like, that's such a beautiful thing. Like, little remnants of us are deposited all over the world, and we don't even know. We'll never know how. What am I trying to say? Like, we'll never know the impact that we've truly had in the world, and this is why. Like, think about the situation I was just telling you about with the guy that I was talking to, and, you know, we kind of figured out our worlds can't merge right now. But something that I said, he gonna tell somebody else, and that person could be like, dang, that's a good point. And then in conversation with some random person, that may be a point, that may be something that they use to make a point to that other person, and that person will be like, dang, I ain't ever think about it that way. So then that's gonna be something, you know what I mean? So we will never know how much of an impact the situations that we are in and the people that we encounter, we'll never know. But that's what life is about. Like, each one teach one. The same thing with him. Like, we shared 2 different religious backgrounds. He taught me so much. And the weirdest thing happened today. I was at work and I was talking to an older black guy, about how he is Muslim and his wife is not. Boom, in the bag. In that moment, I can relate. Like, we can now, because of the experience that I have with this guy, now we can talk different. Like, some of the things that you're talking about, I'm with you. Why? Because I've had an experience where somebody has taught me some things that I didn't know before. So now I can reach you in a different way than I would have in the months prior if I hadn't had this experience. And that's how I think about things. My situations, I always say no love lost. Even if the situation ends badly, like, of course there's gonna be certain situations that may not end in the best way, but even in those situations, we got to think about how we contributed to that, because it takes 2 to tango. Say, you know, you get your feelings hurt because you weren't on top of your game. You ignored the red flags, you know, you ignored that intuition. You got to take responsibility for that. You can't blame that on the other person. I always say we're not held accountable until we know better. So when you know better, but you still choose to act as if though you're ignorant to something, you got to take that one on the chin. And, you know, that's what it comes down to. Accountability and just living life. Like, just live. Don't try to figure everything out. And now I'm preaching to myself, because, girl, I'm going to have an understanding about something. But yeah, I hope this helps somebody. I really enjoyed talking to y'all. But I will talk to y'all in my next video.